Today, there are roughly more 10 to 14, $100 billion pension funds who have never come to India. I felt a bit disrespectful that I'm talking about the Prime Minister and you are laughing. He said, don't worry, I'm not laughing on Prime Minister Modi. I'm laughing on a situation that one Prime Minister works for 20 hours and my President sleeps for 20 hours. I like what Prime Minister said very clearly is that the government job is not to run business. Government job is to do governance.
Exactly.
But the line came after that was far more damaging or far more impactful than one can imagine. And she says that, I hope by the time you land in London, you still have a job.
Rakeshh Gupta ji, welcome to the podcast. It's lovely to have you on.
Pleasure is all mine, Abhijit.
So, Rakeshh ji, you have led a very interesting life. It's been quite a journey. Can you please share what the journey has been like?
To be very simplistic, it has been, I'm not sure whether roller coaster would be the right word. Because we come from Sikar, Rajasthan, a very Marwari family background where everybody is a trader or a businessman. And my grandfather moved from Sikar to Delhi and Delhi to Calcutta to be a part of Indian National Army led by Shri Subhash Chandra Bose ji.
Okay.
Because he wanted to become a freedom fighter. Subsequently, my father was born in Calcutta, I was born in Calcutta. So Calcutta remains too closer to heart compared to any other place in the world. But over the period of time when we grew up in a very typical old middle class kind of background. Father is a chartered accountant. He wanted all his kids to become chartered accountant, which is very natural.
Naturally.
Yes. Natural. And then gradually as we progressed, I moved into the tech world. I did my master's in tech. And that's the time I got a lot of opportunities, but possibly because Marwari family kids are not allowed to work because they are supposed to either be a CA or run the family shop or family business. And then because my father was so highly educated, he focused more on education rather than business. That's how we all were educated. And come the time when my family was not inclined for me to travel abroad, forget out of Calcutta.
I see.
But then the time changed and we talked about different phases of life, and my father was somehow unwillingly convinced that, okay, you can travel abroad. And then we had a mindset that even though if we are away from home, but we'll travel to India once in every year to be closer to heart. And that is what took me from Calcutta to London and from London to the different parts of the world. And that's what's been my upbringing and family values, which where parents holds the key.
But you had a stint in the Air Force as well, right?
Oh, that was my childhood fascination. So somebody told that very early age that you should join the NCC.
Okay.
And so initially in Calcutta, Fort William, I did some training with the army wing of NCC. But then I realized that will not help me to become a Air Force pilot. And then somebody made me associate with One Bengal Air Squadron in Calcutta. And then I went there. I was a senior cadet there. And then that's the journey happened. Then comes the part where I broke into the Air Force. But that was a very short stint. And honestly, with that stint, I would not like to recollect much because it was very short and stint. But what it taught me is a very important thing in life. Is whether it's personal, professional, or whichever way you want to look at it. Discipline is a key to life.
Yes.
Whatever you are doing, if you are not disciplined, you will not get the desired result.
Yes.
You may want to write objectivity and subjectivity in the book and, maybe use best of the English jargons in the world, right? But if you have not summed it up with a very perspective mind, and then you start applying the disciplinary parts, and then only it can lead to the delivery part. So that's where I think I realized that discipline is a very key element of our part, thanks to the Indian Air Force. And then I left it, and then I moved into the corporate world.
So what was that like?
Corporate world, wonderful journey, career, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of learnings, and a lot of things which my father used to taught us when we were young kids. And And we started believing that he's only sermonizing us because we're young. But come the time, you really believe that everything what your father said, I don't know whether you would like to term it with the materialistic world as gold, diamond, platinum, whatever is that. But I think everything what my father taught us was amazing in our life. Some of the things are like, which I still apply in my corporate life, is that life is too short till you complicate with your own inferences. So a lot of things similar like that my father taught me, and I'm applying in the corporate world. Corporate world journey, as expected, is never easy because I'm possibly one of those example who actually grew from IA to IA, which is insurance advisor to investment advisor.
I see.
So I've gone through this entire drill, right from insurance company to wealth management to private wealth management, and then to private equity, venture capital, institutional investments. And that is how I would say IA to IA is a full cycle of 360-degree journey. I've done almost, it's been close to 3 decades in corporate and investment banking. Ran some of the iconic global bank desk. CEO of couple of big wigs of the world, who's and who's of the world. Naming any one of them may not be appropriate. But I'm sure in this era of social media, it would take a click for people to find it out. So I would leave it there. But journey-wise, I must say it's a fascinating journey because I believe every journey is a lesson. And we should not term every journey as a success and failure. We should look at every journey as what has been the desired output or what has not been the desired output, and then start back, working backwards. So that has been the essence of my career, what I've done, and I'm so grateful to my mentors, my leaders in this journey, who have been my bosses at different stages of work. We had a chance to work together. Sometimes I failed, sometimes they stood with me, sometimes they backed with me, sometimes they handholded me. But every single point of time, I felt that, barring few incidents here or there, but every single time I felt that the leadership is not all about telling you what to do. My school of leadership is that the first word starts with L, which is listening.
Listening.
So start listening to people. Right? And that is what leadership I have learned over a period of time. That is what leadership I believe is an essence of our life. And that has been my journey in the corporate world.
So now we're based out of India. How did that move happen?
So when I was with HSBC long back, and then the schedule come for me to relocate to London with ICICI Bank. And I was fortunate enough to go there, spend time there. Maybe I think the most difficult phase in my life was moving to London during the height of pandemic, during the height of financial crisis. So when I went there, when I went there in early 2008, the situation was so bad that bankers were called wankers. And whole of the world was thinking is that why are you coming from India to a alien world kind of thing. Also the banking world, which I could vouch that has been largely governed by the whites in the London and New York market. Fortunately, unfortunately, whichever way we want to look at it. And I realized that surviving in this market is always a challenge, and financial crisis multiplied the challenge many fold times. The best example I would suggest is that just like all of us, once we went to London in 2008 on my anniversary. Me and my wife, we went to Paris. And while coming back, and this is a very, to your audience, it would sound funny, but it was also a very realistic situation. So when I was come at the airport, taking the flight from Paris to London, and this UKBA Home Office people who were there to check the passport and other things. And they asked me, so what's your name? And I said, Rakeshh Gupta. I said, what do you do? I said, I'm a banker. Looked at me as if I'm the most sinful guy in the world kind of thing. I've committed possibly the blunders of the world or kind of financial mismanagement of the world. She looked at me and said, "Oops, take your passport." And I was saying, "Oh, that's good." That was very prompt. But the line came after that was far more damaging or far more impactful than one can imagine. And she says that, "I hope by the time you land in London, you still have a job."
I see.
So that made me believe that not only in 2008 the market was at the worst, the jobs were not there, people were running around helter skelter, but also the mindset outside was not very conducive to even think about day-to-day life, because forget anything else, because if everyone around you looks at you that you are the bankers, it's so difficult for you to move out and try to do anything, small thing, right? But the good part also was that in 2008 when I was there, I made my own way, stayed back in London, where a lot of my peer groups relocated and they had their own wishes in different part of the world. I stayed back, and not only I stayed back, I made my way in corporate world, uh, worked with some of the big names in the world. And today when I look back, I only think one good thing is that what did that left a message for me. It says that walk the talk, survival for the fittest, all those things which we have learned in the school, right? Is that it's not that all pep talk or TED talk works on that.
Yeah.
If you go through the drill in 2008 where everybody looks at you as you're the culprit, or you're in an alien world with your family, because my mind was very clear that whichever country I'll go with the family. I will not be one of those guys who's staying alone and coming once in a quarter or once in 6 months, and then your family is here, you are there. I was very clear the day when my family moved with me. I think that was the strength, that was the support which made me stand there, fight it out, make the inroads. And I think that is why I would say that 2008, a lot of peer group who left London for whatever reasons, today may not have done what they intended to do when they came to London. And most of them are still in touch with me for something or the else. But when I look back, I think it only tells you is that hold on to your ground. If you know your subject, hold on to your ground. Things could be delayed, but eventually it will come. So hold on to your ground, back your instinct, back your strength, and everything else will fall in place. May not be in that speed what you want. And this is where I'll go back to what my father taught. In Hindi, he said that समय से पहले और भाग्य से ज़्यादा. In English, it would mean that what is written in your destiny, you will get it, but not before the real time which is written off. So somehow these are the small things. A typical Indian family guy, a typical family-oriented grooming. So father's words are like golden words in your life. You follow it up. Early days, you feel it's all, we all know that.
Yeah.
But later in the day, you realize that how correct he was.
Right. So then a few years earlier, you started a new chapter of your life. What was that?
So I think in 2018 was the time when I realized that the corporate world is what it is.
Yes.
And I thought that I may not belong to this world anymore.
Okay.
One of the very basic reason why I left was respect for colleague and employees. Maybe because I've worked in top-notch institutions, and where the top to bottom, by the time the message from the top comes to bottom, maybe the bottom guy would have changed twice, kind of it.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Okay. Inertia, slow.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
So that was the point which made me think is that why not I venture into and become an entrepreneur. And that's where I recollected my father's word is that if you need encouragement, never become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I said, no, I think what I've achieved, I could become an entrepreneur. But at the same time, I said, while I'm building my company, building the business, as it grows, as it thrives upon, I went to study. So I went to Wharton Business School.
You went back to business school?
Yeah, Wharton Business School.
Okay.
I did my master's in asset management and asset and wealth management, private wealth management. And then I went to Columbia. I did my corporate major in international masters in corporate finance.
Okay.
So that kept me not only in the loop, that kept me also in the hunt to do bigger things. And one of the reason which relates to my core subject, which I picked up in one of the Harvard reviews, is that the world loves rebels with the cause, not the rebels.
Not the rebels themselves. The cause is more important.
Cause is more important.
Yes.
And that is where I think I was fortunate to get a lot of backing from my friends in the US, because I studied there, worked there for some time. And each one of them understood the point is that where I'm coming from, that I want to create an institution where DRI is the essence of the institution, which is discipline, which I learned in my life, respect, which I felt missing in the corporate world.
Okay.
Integrity, I think, which we all need to have.
We all need to have that.
Especially in the financial world. While I agree we all need to have in day-to-day life also. But financial world, integrity is possibly the biggest subject where people keep on talking about.
Okay.
So that's where I come from. So that's with those thoughts, SayeNvest comes into the world. SayeNvest. And then we started with SayeNvest Caps, and then we started growing up. And today we have got a group: SayeNvest Caps, SayeNvest Asset Management, SayeNvest Real Estate Advisory Practice, SayeBank, SayeInsure, SayeTech, and SayeOne Media Corporation. So we have been growing around thanks to the backing of the institutional and financial investors who work with us, family offices who work with us all across the world. Without their support, this wouldn't have been possible. And that's how the venture started, and that's how the company has been formed.
So what's the next step? You are now launching in India, right? Yeah.
So we have just launched in India, and I recollect my interaction with the Prime Minister a couple of years back. If I'm not wrong, I think it was in December 2022.
Okay.
In one of those forums, and he said that, you have not come to India. I said, India is our last big market, but we are coming soon. So today we operate out of 19 locations across the world. But India happens, we just launched our India office, and we are making the formal announcement and inauguration on this Friday, the 1st of March. And I know for sure that also happens to be a very auspicious day all across the world for the Hindus community. So there can't be anything better than that, to come to India, do a formal launch. Yes, people know me because of the past background, but this is a time when we need to make inroads with what we want to add and how we differ with the rest. That's the same, going back to the mindset of rebels with the cause versus rebels.
Right.
That's the point.
So let's talk about the Indian economy and the Indian market for a bit. So we obviously are a market that's growing. We are roughly 4 trillion right now. We want to reach 5, then 10. So the India story is here, but what are the challenges? You are somebody who stays outside of India, but you are Indian. So looking from outside of India, looking at India, what are the challenges that you see?
See, from the outside perspective, when I meet my peer group in West Coast or East Coast or even London, they all are very positive about India. And it is quite reflective with the way the business is shaping up. Everybody may not be the investor as of to India. That's also a very fair point. But everybody is looking up to India in a very high esteem that this could be the next big thing to happen, especially with the China plus one story going off the window.
Yes.
So a lot of people are looking, especially the US clients and institutions are quite actively looking at India. That is from the political acceptability perspective.
Okay.
One is also the reason is about why are they looking at India so positively? Because they have now seen the 10 years of Prime Minister. And if you see the global investors' mind psyche, they are not into Congress, BJP.
They don't care about that.
They don't care about it.
Yes.
What any investor globally is looking is about stability.
Yes.
Stability comes from the political leadership establishing themselves.
Yes.
That's how today when I look back, what has the Indian political system did? For whatever reasons, every time for last 2 elections, people have given a clear mandate to Prime Minister Modi.
Yes.
And I'm sure this time again, he will get the mandate. That's what I get a feeling.
Yes.
That is what attracts the investor, that the continuation of the economic policy is far more interesting than or important than the change of guards.
Yes.
Right? And in this case, I will, because I stay in London, so I could give you a wonderful story on that, is that when we look at India vis-a-vis UK,
Okay.
right? While we believe that that is, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been quite active, doing a lot of things in the UK and trying to revive conservatives as much as he can. But it has been tipped that Labour will come into the election again. And if that happens, we anticipate that the first thing Labour will do is that completely reverse the policies, capital policies of the conservatives.
Yes.
And history says that Labour cannot win again, as the history says. I may be wrong, 1 or 2 incidents could be there. And we anticipate that when next time, when in 5 years, when in the next general election, when Labour loses, and in all likelihood, conservatives will come back again, then they will unwind these policies.
So you're going back and forth.
So the country effectively goes 10 years back, every cycle. And that takes the big toll on the economy. Looking at the financial indices and the numbers, looks like UK is heading for a recession.
Okay.
So, to narrate that perspective with the geopolitical mindset, what investors are looking at, they are more keen to have a country. Now, all investors who are backing Modi cannot be Modi Bhakt or Andhbhakt, whatever language we want to use it, right?
Yes.
They all are looking at their clear perspective is that what return, and is our return stable with regard to stability of the political leadership?
Yes.
So that's where I would say that is what the people are looking from the outside. You did ask me the challenges. I would say there are more important challenges than looking at those frontline newspapers of big news media.
Okay.
One is that we need to bring the biggest challenge is access to capital.
Okay.
We don't have. Otherwise, the opportunity which we have here and the number of unicorns we are going to hit the road would be far more than the numbers being quoted or reported. That is one reason to look at that. The other perspective I would say is about rules and regulations.
Okay.
Right. Yes, last 10 years has given some kind of comfort to the people. But would it be long enough to give them what the Congress regime has done from the tax perspective when they were there, is that retrospective taxes.
Okay.
So Prime Minister has taken a lot of initiatives on tax and rules and regulation, but has it given enough confidence to the rest of the world? Maybe not.
Okay.
Does it give what I would say in old school language is that does it give comfort to them, or are they optimistic? Yes, they're optimistic. That's what they're looking for. Other thing always remains is the central bank role, the money repatriation policy, the tax averse mindset. But most important mindset, I believe, is that what if I? And this is what I think, including me, every Indian needs to change their mindset. What if I?
Okay.
So everything which we do, we start to put a question ourselves first. What if I'm unable to do that? What if I'm unable to reach there? What if I'm unable to do that? Achieve a 10 billion company or a 100 billion company. And in this process, we are casting a doubt on ourselves as well as on others. So when you deal with somebody, you simply say, okay, what if you can't do it? So the mindset is spreading around with a very clear message that if you are not comfortable about your thing, why are you questioning me? Okay. Because you are passing the same negativity to me. If you fail, that doesn't mean I'll also fail.
Yeah.
So those are the, I would say, major challenges from the market perspective. Yes, you will have economic ups and downs. You could talk about it, but what attracts an investor is about continuation in the policy, support from the various quarters, and more importantly is the process transparent enough to build the business. If you ask me, has anything been done on this for last 10 years? Yes, it has been done. But can I say that it's all complete and we are all done? No, we are not.
Long way away.
We are long way away. But yes, compared to if you start talking about opening a company and registering a company in London, it takes 5 minutes, and here it could take 5 days to 5 weeks.
So that's a low-hanging fruit actually.
That's a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But things have changed compared to pre-14 series.
Certainly.
In terms of it.
Certainly.
But as you rightly said, Abhijit, there's a lot of scope to do that. And I'm sure the advisory team of the Prime Minister would be looking into these things, small things. Maybe we have still not, while I'm surprised that majority of these institutions, the back-end tech is being run by Indians.
Yes.
But in India, they can't run the same system.
Well.
For whatever political bottlenecks and political influence or state versus center rule or federal policy rule. So that is where we stuck.
So India needs investment, huge amounts of investment. Are we attracting the kind of investments we should be attracting? If we are not, what can be the solution?
Okay. So are we attracting the huge kind of investment? The answer is capital no.
Capital no.
Capital.
Okay.
Are we in the right track to attract huge amount of capital? On the way.
On the way.
On the way.
Okay.
Are we, can we pat ourselves sooner or later? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. And here I would like to add a bit different dimensions of SayeNvest. What do we do? And that is what we could relate on that. Is that at SayeNvest, we are a bespoke, strategic, discrete consulting firm. And we focus on strategic advisory, which includes go-to-market, cross-border, joint venture, strategic alliances and communications, leading to fund and capital raising, which happens to be our forte. So fund and capital raising, structuring, syndication, leverage, private equity, whole gambit of 360-degree advisory services we provide. And in this process, we work with 5 of the top 7 pension funds, 9 of the top 12 sovereign wealth funds. I can give you the thoughts which I gather it because I've been traveling all across.
Certainly.
As you know, Abhijit, I was in Abu Dhabi. You were also there in Abu Dhabi. I was in Doha. I was in Riyadh, Kuwait, because these are the sovereign who are quite active to look at investing in India. So yes, they all are looking at investing in India, but possibly they are not really very convinced with the point of what's happening at the ground, right?
Okay.
Sometimes the right partner, sometimes the right policy, sometimes the right handholding. It's not that they are so big that they don't have a access or they could do it. But it's only that they would need to have access at ground zero who can do the majority of the work.
Okay.
Their mindset says that in India, when you talk to these gentlemen, whomsoever, partners, the first question is that how fast the money will come and how much money I'll get it.
Okay, straight to the point. Huh?
Straight to the point. In fact, and I'm sure, Abhijit, you would, and you and your audience, learned audience could do a Google and understand that majority of these sovereigns, the first round or the first 2 rounds, they have lost money. Because either they have been provided a fabricated report or a manufactured report or a report which is not close to the truth.
Okay.
Some genuineness could be there, but not close to the truth. And this is where why we are different than the rest is that. And we have been always said that, this is how in India we work like this. And I said, please continue working the way you are, because I'm not the right person to tell you what to do, what not to do. And I hold myself responsible of what I'm saying, not what your understanding mindset. So from that perspective, what we have now been trying to do, and I know that this took quite a long for us to come to India, is that we are not here to make money by fly-by-night operator mindset. What we do is that we do more of a client consulting process, where we speak to the client and make them understand what the proposition is there, and then prepare a report according to the investor's requirement, and then we put it across that. vetted by one of the P5s and all those things. So in this entire process, we follow the entire journey to ensure that not only the money comes in a tranche system or in a one-go system, which gives a fair value of the institutional part of it. Some of the times I've seen some of the big wigs, the big boys of the Bombay, send me reports for fundraising where, and they say that this report has been prepared by my CEO who's 35 years associated with me. And I was surprised to see that on the 4th page, all the numbers are in dollar, and 7th page, all the numbers are in rupees.
Okay.
So what do you do that? You can't see. This is where I'm telling you that we are not running an educational institute to come and teach you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what we could say is that be a part of our journey, and we'll take you through and we'll show you what we are doing. Because why we are adding value is more important than what we are talking about. And I think this is where me and my team are proud to say that we believe in deliverance rather than the discussions. That has been the mindset. And that is what we have been thriving upon.
Okay.
So that is what we would be taking away from that.
Right. So what does the future look like for SayeNvest in India? 10-year horizon, let's say. Is that too long a horizon?
Somebody tells me 10-year horizon, I simply ask them, were you alive before COVID? Because before COVID, if you would have interviewed somebody, where do you see yourself 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
They would have said, vice president, senior vice president, or a country head, right? Whatever it could be. But today, when you ask me 10 years horizon, I actually don't look at 10 years. Maybe 10 years down the line, SayeNvest will run. I will be sitting on the Ganga Ghat at the Varanasi and writing my book.
Okay.
On the leadership.
Maybe.
Yeah, because when you work over 3.5 decades or 4 decades in the corporate world, meets who's and who's of the world, from the private office to family office to billionaire's office, you have picked up so much things that you can write a book.
Yes, indeed.
And maybe I would do that. But to address your point, SayeNvest will thrive continuously because they've got the best of the people in the world. Today, if you really see, we are 12-member senior board member team. Average age of the team is 54. So we are not youngsters of the street. Average experience of the team is 28.9 years to be very precise. So very experienced team. All of them are postgraduates. Some of them are from the Ivy League schools where I have come from. So with that kind of team and that elevated team, we have very senior pros who have been running desks all across the world, from Toronto, Dublin, New York, Delhi, everywhere. Possibly we have got the best of it. That's why I believe I'm in the safe hands as much as the institution, as much as I am. So when your team is this is where I was talking about leadership. My leadership starts, the first L is listening.
Listening.
So if I'm not listening to my team, then whatever number of venture I may launch, I may end up on the not so good result, which I don't want to say. So fair enough. The practice goes on for India. India happens to be the big market for us. Looking at what has been happening in India, there is almost 87.9% jump in the FDI from last 8 years.
That's a big jump.
That's a big jump. We are now close to 94 billion dollars of FDI, and that's continuously growing. So when you see those kind of FDI numbers growing up, those kind of institutions growing up, I was reading some of the articles that Andy Jassy, who's the Amazon CEO, and he himself said that we align with the PM's vision for 2030 and we are going to pump $15 billion.
Okay.
Similarly, Sundar Pichai comes out and say, okay, we would like to develop a complete tech-funded center in Gift City. So the government is doing everything, attracting people. And that is what it is. But today, when I look back, and I cannot name the ministers, so we were sitting with the Prime Minister and a couple of ministers at that point, and some people were saying pension funds and other thing, and I would say that, and I was able to explain that why we are not getting the pension funds which we could have got.
Okay.
We are not getting pension funds which we would have achieved in terms of scenario. And to make it far more simplistic, today there are roughly more 10 to 14 $100 billion pension funds who have never come to India.
So all that money is sitting out there.
All that money, and they think India doesn't need them.
Okay, they think
India doesn't need them.
Why do they think so?
I'll come back. And India thinks that they don't need India.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's a very interesting perspective. And when I gave this presentation to the ministries in a detailed way that how we could get these pension funds to come to India and how they could, because today the Prime Minister has a very ambitious divestment plan. For that divestment to share, because I like what Prime Minister said very clearly is that the government job is not to run business. Government job is to do governance.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And this is where possibly Prime Minister Modi holds miles ahead than the rest of them, because he has a clarity that this is not my job to run PSUs. My job is to run the governance, not the PSUs. So maybe he is looking for more of a divestment mindset, and that's why possibly we at SayeNvest could help him to ensure that all those things happens. And how do this happens is that when you get those $100 billion plus pension and sovereigns to come to India, now they all would come and click a picture with Prime Minister and show it off, kind of it in their own world. Not the Prime Minister needs to do that. But if you really see the quantum of investments,
Yes.
to give you an example, I cannot name the institution, but that institution is worth, let's say, when I did my last presentation to the ministry, it was, they were valued around $380 billion.
With a B, billion. B.
And they only invested 181 million in India.
What percentage is that of their?
0.005.
Well, that's not the result we want. We can do better.
So that is what I was telling them, that today when you look back, these institutions look, we have to find something called parity, right? If you are worth $400 billion, India is next big market. You should be putting nothing less than 20 to 22% of your exposure should be India.
Right.
$100 billion has to go to India. Now they understand perspective and they want to look at it. And I was surprised that during that meeting, one of the central bank executive told me is that you could ask them to, submit the application to invest in India. And I'm saying,
you have to roll out the red carpet.
maybe, this is where I'm saying is that while PM Modi is trying to change a lot of mindsets that overseas investor come, and that is what possibly we have presented, is that we would get some of the most prominent pension funds, sovereigns to India, and who are looking to invest. At the end of the day, to be very honest, to your learned audience, a pension fund is far more robust and long-term than a sovereign wealth fund.
Okay.
Because pension fund is run by a bunch of professionals who understand investment and pensions. They only need to ensure that every quarter what pension payout is there, that's been taken care for quarters to happen. And in the best of the cases, they are always looking at 3 to 5% return return mindset.
3 to 5%. So they have a long-term mindset.
They have roughly, they look at portfolio 15 to 25 years.
Okay, that's real long-term.
That's why I would suggest that this particular vertical would fit into Prime Minister Modi's game plan than anybody else's.
Actually.
Sovereigns are the one who are always looking at double-digit returns.
Okay.
And they could look at 3 to 5 years horizon. So not every opportunity will make sense. That's why I think institutions, be it the normal clients or the government institutions, they need to deal with companies like SayeNvest, it could be anybody else also, who has the reach to pick up the right investor for the right divestment. So if a divestment plan is for 25 years, we'll pick up somebody from pension. If it is for 7 years, we'll pick up from sovereign. But then we are the better ones based out of London and New York to pick it up the right person and map it up to you, bring the money, kind of it. And it's a hometown. So we always look forward to work with India on this part. More than our thinking, the PM's long-term divestment plans need some of these bigwigs beyond the named bigwigs to come and invest. And that's where possibly we'll try to bridge it. We spoke to a couple of them. I was in Delhi last week to do a lot of this meetings, private meetings. And that's what we have been presenting, that we could get bigger things to happen. Internationally, we don't take any deals less than $250 million minimum. But in Indian market, we are saying that because we are educating one set of people, but at the same time, we are also bringing money for the other set of people.
Yes.
So we have not yet put any cap on that.
Okay.
But we are looking forward to India's story. We believe in India's story, heart and heart. And I firmly believe everything is not perfect. We have to make it perfect. We all need to contribute small things. Every good thing you cannot put it on Prime Minister Modi, and every bad thing you cannot put it on Modi. Incidentally, it is so happening in India that every good thing is happening everybody's patting their back. Anything adverse happening, he is responsible.
Pass the buck.
Pass the buck. And that's been a habitual practice.
We need to take more responsibility.
I think the younger generation is far more smarter. They are not doing similar passing the buck. Maybe the younger generation has played less passing the buck than the older generation. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, maybe you're right. Yeah, we come from a different time. And
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So overall, how do you see India's divestment, disinvestment landscape? What is the potential? I mean, if there are people from outside India watching, what's the kind of potential we have here?
If you are indicating about the number side, I would not be able to pinpoint any particular number.
Okay.
But I could say that what India took, so like the other day I was listening, India's first $1 trillion GDP took 14 years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Then it took 8 years, then it took 3 years, kind of it. The new one is just happening. So the way the speed is going on, indicating the point which was about the numbers released by the government of India, is that FY 2023 FDI is close to 100 trillion kind of it, 100 billion kind of it. We are at 93.57 kind of it. So 100 billion would be closer to it. But if you ask me the opportunities of growth,
Yes.
in terms of numbers, I would suggest what we did in 8 years, we could do it double than that in 4 years.
All right.
So effectively, to numerical perspective, I do see the next 100 billion coming in maybe 24 to 36 months. If you appoint and work with right partners who can bring this $100 billion funds to your table and say, do it. Because any of these deals, if every deal goes off with 600 million to $1 billion here or there, and all of them are looking at India, because that's the only bright story now.
India's only bright story.
India's the only bright story.
Yes.
Look at what Tim Cook came and said. Not only that, I was surprised the Sunday Guardian released a report on India wonderfully.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
I see.
So if you really, definitely Indian media would be biased either way, or either pro-Modi or anti-Modi. I am not responsible for that. But when global media, from a negative to start becoming neutral, that means that he's doing something good.
Oh, yes. Yes.
May not be in the sense to satisfy certain individuals. But yes, that trend has been taking up. Incidentally, Australia also released a wonderful report about India's growth. And one good thing I liked about the Australian government report is that they also put the onus on themselves about the repatriation with regard to the business and the bilateral trades.
Okay.
So it's, this is what the new India is about. We are also telling them that you also need to look at your house, that how you are, reciprocating to the entire discussion. So India, at one point, a lot of Indians invested in Australia, which didn't reciprocate the same way.
Okay.
So that is now it's happening.
So we are seeing parity now.
Parity now. US climate, investment climate report on India 2023 is very positive.
Very positive.
So this is where, while some of your literate audience would say it's like bandwagon Modi kind of it, but I'm sure any state report, be it Australia, UK, US, when the state releases a report, we have to be, respectful to that.
Yes.
Similarly, when Government of India releases any report, irrespective of whichever government it is, we have to be respectful to that.
Yes.
And I'll just add one word which is contrary to what your subjectivity was, is that I picked up a wonderful line in New York Metro. It says that, hate your government, but don't end up hating your country.
That's something Indians need to remember more than anybody else.
More than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because you may hate Prime Minister Modi.
Many people do.
Everybody has a right, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Everybody has a right. And this is where, when we go and hobnob into the different worlds of California and Seattle's, you understand that these guys, the way they applaud Prime Minister Modi. In fact, we hosted a very ultra-private dinner at my place in Seattle. And some of the big wigs were invited, and it was only a 10 people private gathering, nothing more than that. So some people came, and I cannot name. He's a 1972 Harvard pass out.
Okay.
So he was standing next to me, and he said that, tell me something about Modi. He's this, he's that, and I've said, sir, everybody could have different perspective about Modi. Prime Minister Modi works round the clock. He's always focused on a lot of things, not only one economy, but
Yes.
also manpower, about people. So he always works round the clock and does it. And because he's important, that's why a billionaire like you is asking about him. Then he laughed. I felt a bit disrespectful that I'm talking about a prime minister and you're laughing. He said, don't worry. I'm not laughing on Prime Minister Modi. I'm laughing on a situation that one prime minister works for 20 hours and my president sleeps for 20 hours.
That's a recent meeting you had again.
That's why I said, because one of those, I think, press briefing, he also conged off or slept off, something like that. I'm
We've
not
seen
exactly,
that.
briefing something.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think what is West is picking up. And these are the guys whom we hosted, are the guys who are $100 billion kind of leagues in our own private company, private holding, sub-holding, third country holding. So these are the big, and they all are looking at India. That's one of the reason is that why, not only that, we are now going ahead to launch our own fund. We have bought a fund in London. We are now going to buy another fund in, we are negotiating with either Geneva or Luxembourg. So that. And then we are launching much bigger fund from Gift City.
Gift City, okay.
Gift City. And IFSA team, including their chairman, was very kind, coordinative, helpful. So we look forward to launching $1 billion fund in 12 months' time across the world.
Across the world.
Across the world. We would see how does it shapes up. But we are fortunate to be backed by sovereigns on those funds. We would look forward to see how does that fund, because what has happened is that, Abhijit, is that because we were doing big ticket deals, we let go a lot of unicorns or a lot of so-called well-doing businesses. That's why we have launched a fund. We have just hired a CEO for that, and she would run the desk. But that's a mindset, is that this fund would be investing all across the world. Majority will come to India, definitely, because the fund, the USD fund will be operating out of Gandhinagar.
Okay.
Gift City, and rest of the fund. So we want to go back to our American clients and different part of the clients to say that we have a GBP, Euro and USD fund, multi-currency, multi-thematics, multi-jurisdictions. So that way it gives an attractive proposition to the investor, is that, okay, fine, it's not looking at only A country or B country or A sector or B sector. So, and plus the currency risk, right? Majority of them are very adverse to the currency risk in the current currency market. So that is how SayeNvest Caps came into the picture. SayeNvest Asset Management is coming in the picture. Real estate, we are now becoming deployment partner for one of the big wigs of the world in the private equity space. We are working with them. Bank should be there in another 12 to 24 months.
A bank.
It would be operating most likely from Kuala Lumpur.
From Kuala Lumpur.
So it is more on the signs of a digibank, kind of it. My mind is that everything should be sorted out in 30 seconds. Everything. Okay. Whatever you want to do, operate, just pick up the phone, do it in 30 seconds. So that, in that case, some discussions have happened, some documentations are going on. So we will see how does it happens. SayeTech is a wonderful proposition, what we take it forward. SayeOne Media is a one company which was possibly the first one to come in the list.
Okay.
The moment we stepped into the media world. So that has been our focus. India remains the most important territory for us.
Awesome. So you have Gift City as one of the hubs, as one of the bases. So yeah, I think you're doing tremendously fantastic work, and I'm really glad to see that. I wish you all the best. Any parting thoughts? I mean, you are born in India. You are based outside of India. Any parting thoughts? Any parting, perhaps, advice for the government of India as to what we can do to make the India story even bigger?
While PM Modi has ensured that bureaucrats are accessible, but maybe a bit more.
All right.
A bit more, because also I think PM Modi has taken a larger step of involving professionals from private sector to the government.
Yes.
Because today, when you hire a global international specialist from all across the world, right? Then he brings a lot of different dimensions to you, because he's not based out of Delhi.
Yes.
He's not looking at only Delhi story. He's also looking at Dallas story.
Yes, right.
He's also looking at Dubai story. He's also looking at Dublin story. So for him to connect all those dots and get the money is far more easier than people who are sitting and preparing presentations in South Block or North Block, whichever way they are, right?
Totally.
So that way, I think Prime Minister Modi has taken a step. I do believe there's a lot to be done, as I said during this discussion. We firmly believe that opportunity is huge. This is a time when, in fact, it is possibly a complete reverse scenario where investors, the sovereigns are, pensions are coming out to us and say, why don't you help us in India? So it's not the other way. And I've been firmly believing is that no, we would like to do this for our motherland. We would also like to do it. It's not that the country alignment changes. I'm as British as anybody else could be. I'm as Indian as anybody else could be.
Indeed.
And this is where I would say when the Prime Minister of UK, Honorable Rishi Sunak ji, doesn't hesitate to go to temple, then why we think about it, right?
Yeah.
So on that point, I think financial sector regulation needs to be a bit more structured. And now, since you talk about parting thought, I'm being known for the acronyms, right? So I would say we need to see a 4C becoming a D.
4C becoming a D.
Yeah. So the very basic is that commitment. First C is for commitment by the government.
By the government.
By the government. Second C is about the consistency. Consistency by the regulators purely.
Very important.
Very important. The third C is about the capital. So capital, access to the capital or capital from domestic players, leading institutions, overseas players, which we can bring it. And the last C is the commitment of individual who is running the business. Now, if you add all those 4C, leads to only single D, which is delivery.
Delivery.
Today, PM is harping on the delivery. But if we start looking at those 4Cs, I'm sure it's only a matter of time that we'll achieve the D.
Absolutely.
So on that note, I think that is what possibly, I am not throwing more acronyms to you, but I do believe that these are the ways where we at the West and largely in, Californian market and, New York market, we try to look at these things in this perspective. And I firmly believe these are the things which catches the attention of mind psyche of investors. And this is the best part because all of them are looking at India's story and now they're very confident that PM Modi is coming back. So they are now saying that, those question mark mindset, whether and not, have not and not has now become have. So that's where we will look forward to it.
All right. Thank you for the great work you've been doing. Congratulations on all the success you have achieved.
Thank you.
Congratulations on entering India and wish you even more success. Thank you so much.
Abhijit. Thank you. Pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.